And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
A while ago, my daughter and I reviewed a game called Swish from ThinkFun. Now we're going to take a look at Swish Jr. Essentially, it's the same game, but, well, for kids. But if you've not seen Swish, let me show you how it's played. So in this game, you're going to have different cards, and these cards, you're going to need a good background for them. They said that you could use a light one, but they actually kind of stick out really nicely on this tablecloth. And you're going to be setting up these cards on the table in a group of 12. So here's the different cards. And you can see that they have different shapes on these cards. There's a blue arrow in the middle. There is a purple dot. There's an orange star. And there is a green. Now that glare, I apologize for. I don't see it, but it's on the camera. But anyhow, one real quick thing I want to do before we go any farther is to show you the difference between these and the original cards. Now, first of all, the original cards are smaller, but the original cards have only circles. There's no differentiation of shapes. And also, the cards have the possibility of there being more things on them. For example, if I put a whole bunch of cards here together, you can see that there is 4 by 3, 12 different things possible on a card. While on the Swish, there is only going to be 9 possible things. So that does make somewhat of a difference. Now what players are trying to do is they're trying to create a Swish. A Swish can be as simple as putting 2 cards together. This is a Swish here. Blue arrow matches blue arrow, orange matches orange. When I put them on top of each other like I just did, they form a Swish because they are completely filled up. I could not do this, for example, because that's not a Swish. It would need to be the opposite. Now, Swish can be more than one. For example, if I put this here, I've now filled up the flower, but now I have half of the purple circle and half of the blue arrow. So I say, well, let's finish the purple circle, but now I have another purple circle at the top, and I say, okay, well, I can fill that purple circle, but now I have half of another orange at the top. So I say, well, I'll cover that up by putting this here. Well, now I have half of a leaf. And then I say, well, wait, I can do this. And the leaf and the arrow and the circle is complete. Now, of course, all those cards would have to be out there. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a Swish of 6, which is a lot more difficult to do in your head because you're not allowed to touch the cards. You just say Swish, and then you start doing it. And if you are incorrect, you can lose a card that you've already gotten. Once the Swishes have been identified, then players will put out some more cards and keep going. You can make the game harder by saying you have to find a Swish that's at least 3 because the 2s are very easy. And even the 3s aren't so difficult. See? 1, 2, and 3. Very simple. But again, you have to look at it. You have to do spatial. You can flip the cards in your head. There's different ways to do it. Anyway, you keep playing, and whoever has the most points is the winner or gets the most cards. And if you're stuck, you can take off all 4 of the 12 cards and put 4 new ones out. But when the draw pile is empty and there's no more cards, most cards wins. When I reviewed Swish, I talked about how much I liked it. I really liked it. It was a game that me and my daughter were able to play against each other all the time and just really have some straight-up shots at this game because of all the different spatial skills. I really liked how you were flipping the cards around in your head and you had to do it all mentally, but how you went from this point to this point to this point to get back to the first point. That's neat. Very satisfying for someone like me. Okay, same thing about this one. This one is cool because instead of just doing dots, you have shapes and you know where the shapes are. That doesn't mean that Swish Jr. is easy. I mean, it can be, especially if you play with the 2 Swishes, card versus card. Then it's kind of like memory match, looking for 2 cards that are similar. But if you make people say they must do at least 3 or higher, this instantly becomes a much more difficult game. It's very high quality. You don't need the box. All you need is the bag to keep it. And so that makes it one that I will easily keep this to have it. If I'm playing with my oldest daughter, I'll play Swish. If I play with other kids, I'll probably play the Swish Jr. The cards are bigger. I like the shapes, but I could also play this with adults. faults. I really could. And it would be kind of a challenging game. It's a little easier than Swish, but that doesn't make it easy. So it's a neat idea. I've always been a big fan of clear cards that you could see through. And so far, most of the games that have used clear cards have disappointed me. The Swish family has not.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.
There.